You know, cap sleeves. I came up with it off of my cap sleeves.
Yeah, well, I guess.
All right.
We're
Oh,
on
we're
the air.
live.
Yeah, no, we're live. This is it.
Of course, right when I'm like rubbing my eyeball. Hello, people in the chat who I am presently going to figure out who you are. Shit. If it's my mom, she's mad at me already.
What? Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I was raised better than that. I don't behave like I was, but I certainly was. Okay.
Welcome, everybody.
Mitchell's here. Superficial Gallery's here. That's
Yeah,
just
that's
a trivia
me.
that. Yes, I know that. I'm here. Oh, one of the three people is me. Durr.
But it still says there's 3 people waiting. I wonder what they're waiting for.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, that's weird. The video is slightly behind what I'm doing right now, and it's freaky. I can see myself. I'm going to put this down because it's going to freak me out.
It's just enough behind to make it weird.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to put it on Facebook, so...
Awesome.
Get ready.
Ta-da! Okay, we're here. About an hour ago on Twitter, we did our first giveaway, which was a copy of Cujo that Amy won. Thanks, Amy, for retweeting our stuff and for everybody else who retweeted this lovely gathering of, well, technically me and Acadia to talk, but all of the minds to chat about the 2019 adaptation of Stephen King's story, Pet Sematary.
Yeah.
I will refrain from telling the story about my mom reading Pet Sematary when she was pregnant with me, because I think I've done it like 5 times. But it's fun to think that that might be why I am the way that I am.
Yeah, that is kind of fun now that I think about it.
I went to see the movie with her. I asked her, I was like, are you going to be okay? And she punched me in the arm. So,
do you realize how well your mom and I will get along?
If you punch me in the arm, I would be slightly less okay with it. But no, yeah, you probably will be. People who like to razz me will get along really well with my mom.
I didn't say I was going to punch you, but I would egg her on.
Yeah.
A lot.
I am almost 30, but there is frequent use of my first name and my middle name on an almost daily basis.
That's a problem.
So, yeah. Half the time I probably deserve it or am pushing her buttons, but not always.
Well, you know whose buttons got pushed? Yours.
Oh, yeah. I've calmed down a little bit. There was kind of a dry run of this cast between Acadia and I guess, to just get our marbles together about the movie. I was a lot angrier then. I'm less angry now. I guess I've middled out. Like, it was not a this is a spoiler, I guess.
Oh yeah, there's all spoilers, so don't fucking.
I meant a spoiler for like the flavor of my opinion, but yeah, there's going to be huge spoilers for this whole movie. If you haven't seen Pet Sematary 2019, unless you're looking for like a reason not to see it, I wouldn't watch this live show, probably. Yeah. I don't know your life. If you don't care about spoilers, by all means, spoil away. But we're going to do it. We're going to spoil it a lot. It's going to get spoiled.
Yep. We're going to spoil the shit out of it.
I didn't like it.
That's not a spoiler.
No, and I'm sure nobody's surprised. I feel like I'm always the
snooty one, that's what.
It's not snooty. Yeah. It's just, I'm just opinionated, but we all know what happens when ladies are opinionated.
No, that's not, no, that's not what it is at all.
Okay.
Because we have spent like a year in a row discussing opinions.
Yeah, well, I like some things.
You know you know what you're not gonna like?
What?
Oh, I just pasted the link of the live show, and it just took a random thumbnail.
Oh no, is it a really bad one of me?
Oh, sweet Georgia Brown.
Ugh.
I'm gonna put it in the.
Do it again.
I'm gonna put it in the other. I'm gonna put it in the other chat so you can see it.
No, I don't want to see it. Not fair.
It wasn't me. It was the algorithm.
All right, I'm gonna fucking hate this, I'm sure. Oh my god, come on. Well, that's upsetting.
The hype squad is trying to hype it the best we can.
Yeah,
Anyways,
well.
folks, big surprise. Hannah didn't like it. I didn't hate it.
You like
And I
everything.
actually found no, I don't like everything. I didn't like what the fuck was I can't remember what the name of it was. But there's like a bunch of stuff that I don't like. But this wasn't one of them because I thought, and I'm not getting all right. So we'll go through it bit by bit. I
Yes.
think the big difference with this one, as opposed to some of the other movies that we've discussed and disagreed about, I don't necessarily disagree with the things you didn't like.
It
I
just
just
didn't ruin
felt,
the movie for you.
yeah, I just felt that there was enough more to it to make it worthwhile.
I would say that I am slightly at fault for not liking it. I think my expectations were too high.
I feel partially to blame for that because I did that news item where the South by Southwest people were all raving about it, and they were just a bunch of hippies.
You know, there was a lot of news articles that I didn't read on my Twitter timeline, which is basically my only source of social media contact because I deleted everything like a couple of years ago. That was hyping it as like the scariest movie of the year, the best Stephen King adaptation in a long time, but which I know I should take with a grain of salt, but some of it was horror media. I'm looking at you, bloody disgusting.
You get wicked triggered by that.
Yeah, just not everything has to be the best thing and the greatest thing and the scariest thing. Just don't say that. It's okay to just have a popcorn muncher of a horror movie, and I might still go see it. Plenty of like comedies or dramas or whatever other genres of movies they make that I don't watch are just okay, and that's fine. I know we as horror people feel like this deep need to defend our genre and assert its quality because we can't get no respect
right
in the lofty film world, but this is the wrong way to go about doing it. Like defending average shit as like the best of the best is not the way to do it. So,
and that's even, I would say that it's even worse because if everybody keeps saying, oh yeah, now this is the greatest horror movie ever, really what you're saying is all the other horror movies sucked.
Right. Like I'm trying to think of like a time when I agreed with hype. And a lot of hype about Get Out I agreed with. I think that was maybe the last time where I was like, okay, yeah, definitely, for sure. But I swear to God, I read the scariest horror movie of the year for every horror release that comes out, including like that Netflix original thing that I watched the other week, Mercy Black. Like, I swear to God.
Yeah, we're going to have a sweet episode about that.
I swear to God, someone actually wrote that was the scariest movie of the year. And like, I know I come off as like that nasty gal. She's got an attitude. She's got a problem with everything. But like, I can generally find something nice to say about just about everything I watch. And if I were to be hired as a journalist to talk about these movies, I could come up with a positive headline about stuff without saying, this is the scariest, the best, the most iconic horror movie of the year. Like, for instance, the Pet Sematary, you will be totally enthralled by the training you can apparently do to cats. Who'd have thought? Like, that was incredible.
I'm hurt because you could be a horror journalist at the gallery. You just wouldn't get any pay.
Well, yeah, and I hate sitting down and writing my thoughts in critique form. I feel like an asshole.
Well, then how do you think I feel? Because you say them at me all day.
Well, I mean, it's like we're just having a conversation with friends, which is the great thing about podcasts. If I were to write something, I'd feel like I'd have to do a good job and like format it and use correct grammar and, you know.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Fine.
Plus, this is all like a carefully crafted persona, you know. In real life, I just suck.
It's true. I asked around at her work.
He met my husband at where were we?
Mad Monster.
Yeah. They were just like, yeah, she sucks. She totally sucks. So
how do you want to do this?
Well, I was thinking that like I was gonna try to do a compliment sandwich where I said something nice and then I said something not so nice, and then I said something nice again. But can we talk about the cats, the big, beautiful cats? I wore this cat shirt.
Sure.
You have cats. I
Yep.
was delighted by the use of real animals and not CGI, and did not know you could train cats, really. But apparently you can, and well.
They did a good job. And what you said, they had like 4 different ones because each one was good at doing like one particular thing.
Yeah.
Like there was the hissing one and the swiping one and the standing there looking like poor Captain.
Aw, yes. Acadia's oldest cat actually kind of looks like Church.
But like after burial Church.
Right, because he's like 20. Captain.
Well, he just turned 18 on April 1st.
Yeah, like his cat can legally purchase cigarettes.
Yep.
Which is crazy. But yeah, all those big, beautiful, I guess they're Maine Coons, I would guess.
Yeah, they were.
Kitties looking awesome and like handsome even in their goopiness. That was so much fun to see. And seeing all of the little they were wearing like bow ties at premieres when I was like scrolling through Twitter. That was also just thoroughly delightful. One of them's name was Tonic. That's the only name I remember of the cats. But they were all great, and I bet the cat trainers were great. They must have been, because the cats were good, and I'm sure it was very fun for the child actors to work with cats on set. Or, well, for the girl who played Ellie, I don't think the boys who played Gage are at the age where they can properly appreciate animals without, you know.
No, and I'm gonna
doing that smack pet thing.
You're right. But I'm gonna say something about that. I'm gonna interject. So you can do like your shit sandwich is still in effect.
Probably won't work, but go ahead.
No. I'm gonna throw a pickle on there because
all right.
So I legit was watching the original Pet Sematary. I just ran out of time, so I couldn't finish it. The kid that played Gage was better than I remembered when he was just a kid. Like he said more stuff, and you know, he didn't say much. He said like church and shit like that, but you knew what he meant.
Right. So there was a lot of press saying that here comes a big fat spoiler, that the reason for switching Ellie and Gage as the resurrected kid was that they couldn't get like a young kid to do a lot of like really good acting. And like, I agree, obviously he can't do what Gage did in the book without some sort of heavy special effects, because the kid spouts like whole paragraphs about eldritch horror. But I do think that I've seen kids of equivalent age perform better than the kids they had in the 2019 Pet Sematary. Now, I don't have kids, I have nieces, but I think there were probably 3, right?
Yeah, probably 3.
3, maybe 4. I mean, they were not extremely verbal in the movie, so it was hard for me to tell. But I think that's generally the age that they were. And I've certainly seen some killer performances out of even kids that young. This was not one of those.
No.
I
think it was almost like he was somebody's producer, one of the producer's kids, and they're like, yeah, put him in the movie, whatever.
Right, because you can just throw any old 3-year-old in front of a camera and it'll be totally fine. Yeah. Oh, like the kid in Full House, Mary-Kate and Ashley, weren't they doing like a bang-up job, even though it was like comedy, obviously?
That's right.
So that was one of my problems. I made notes so that this would be like mega professional.
You made a list of grievances.
Yeah, but also some praises. You know,
all right, yeah.
Notes that Gage in the book, first of all, wasn't like good. You know, like the Pet Sematary book was not the worst thing I've ever read, but not the best. Like I liked it, but it wasn't the greatest. Not my favorite King novel by any stretch of the imagination, and very, very like bleak and sad. Book Gage wouldn't have worked in the movie, I guess I'm willing to concede, but that didn't mean that he should have been like almost completely eliminated from the story, and when he was on screen, mostly just like a prop in the way that a couch is a prop in a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was kind of a dodge, really, and he was integral to the ending, which we'll get to.
True.
But in the flaw and the thing that the director said, which I actually felt good, because remember when you and I were talking about it, when we first talked about the spoiler, I said it's going to be more meaningful, because I had just watched shit was that one about the kid that got reincarnated? The serial killer got reincarnated in the kid.
Oh fuck! What was that movie?
I can't remember. Shit.
And there was like a weird naked scene. Wasn't that just in theaters?
Yeah. I spend money for this.
Oh, The Prodigy.
Prodigy.
Yeah.
So in that instance, when you've got a kid around that age, between 8 and 11, and they're saying like all sorts of nasty grown-up stuff, it can have legitimate impact. But in the book, they ran around with like a 3-year-old, telling he's gonna fuck up the old man. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? And so that was just, I think, a bad part of the book.
The Wikipedia article on the Pet Sematary novel would lead you to believe that a lot of like Dead Gage's lines were these profound mysteries from beyond, but a lot of it was like stupid swearing that didn't land in exactly the right way to be scary. But if they had done it in the movie, and they sort of scraped the surface on this with the new version with Ellie, but I don't think they carried it through to what would have been like a good creepy iteration where she was saying stuff that she's not supposed to know or that she wouldn't know without having gone to like the great beyond,
Right. Yeah.
That can work really well. That can work and be very creepy, but they kind of dropped that real quick and turned her into like a 9-year-old girl who is essentially Chucky, like popping up and knifing people. And it skewed very comedic for me by the end of it. So, and
see, I didn't get that though. Like I thought the little girl did a good job for what they want, because they changed what the whole point of coming back was.
Right. I thought she was great. And like the really soon after she was resurrected stuff, I wish it had continued to feel that way. Like dark, but not overtly slashery and murdery, where she was kind of just like a little bit creepy and, he's laying next to her, but she's clearly a corpse, or brushing her hair and it's coming off in chunks, Not that I'm a super fan of like gross out shit, but like that worked for me. It was subtle, it was creepy, but then as soon as she switched to the like ring, it just became a little too like it's been done for me. And maybe that's just me. I'm glad it worked for other people. I just thought it felt really stereotypically average horror movie, which is not a word.
No, but like I get that.
Credit where credit is due. The girl did fine with what she was asked to do. It's not her fault. I just think it's a script error, not her.
But this is why the whole thing is like it's. I'm kind of torn about it, because I think what they were trying to do was admirable with the movie that they had. Like, you know what I mean? Because they said, all right, let's take, what is Pet Sematary? What are the themes of Pet Sematary? What were the side stories of Pet Sematary and everything? Sure. And then let's look at this old movie. And as a result, we got people that said, okay, it doesn't make any sense to make the little kid the bad guy, because then we'll make the daughter. But then we're going to add something heavy to the mother's story, so she's more invested as far as what death means to her, blah. And I do take your point about the fact that, being in the house when somebody dies is traumatic. But being the one that killed the person, even if it's not by accident, is more traumatic, I would say. And the whole concept of them, the people that come back aren't just sort of mindless zombies, but rather they are people with motivation and agency, I thought was super interesting, because they're basically super pissed off that it was done to them.
Sure. So in the first movie, or the earlier movie, were they mindless zombies, though? Because in the book, they're definitely not.
The army guy in the flashback,
Quibble
he was
also.
Judd's dog. They don't come back the same. But Gage wanted to kill his family, but I don't recall knowing why.
Right.
It's just he's gone wrong. You know what I mean? Like, but he
Yeah.
didn't go wrong in the way that he like went out and licked trees.
Yeah, for a second it got a little squicky for me in that description. Now I was like, I don't know, like they're not quite right, like they're not mentally all there, which is not like you don't want to make zombies an allegory for people who have special needs or something like that. Stuck weird. But in the book, there's the iconic line that Judd says with the like, sometimes dead is better. He's explaining that the Pet Sematary is like a place that has power. It has its own evil agenda. And that purpose, I guess, we're supposed to infer is to like create some sort of army of the undead. I don't know, or to give it more souls or whatever it does.
It was kind of it was a traditional zombie movie with a lot more work involved for the zombies because they couldn't just bite him and say, now we've made another one. They got to freaking drag him up the hill and through the swamp and all that kind of shit.
Bury somebody.
Yeah, doing actual work.
Yeah. Acadia used to work in that sort of field, not zombification, but like digging people up and stuff. And it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. And I'm going to tell you something.
What are you waving around?
My
oh.
in case I have to write on my thing that's over there that nobody can see.
Tiny shovel.
Yeah. So I dug graves in the state of Maine, which is where this took place. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to Hannah all over everything. But this movie could never have happened the way it happened because when Louis Creed dug down into the child's grave, he would not have encountered a coffin that he could open. He would have encountered a 1,000-pound cement vault cover that was fastened to the bottom of the vault with tar. So he would have had a hard time.
That's tar for all of you people who don't speak Maine person.
It's more authentic if I say it right.
It is. Acadia is like the authority on all things Maine accent, of which there were none in this movie, as far as I can tell.
And Judd did better in some things than in other ones, but the famous lines he did, like "Christ on his throne, no, whoever would," like those, the iconic lines are just awful and fun. But a bunch of the little ones he did, you know, I bought them.
I had a couple moments in this movie, and it was weird because, like, I would be like, wow, John Lithgow looks great. And then I'd be like, oh my God, John Lithgow looks horrible. I don't know what the lighting people were doing, but it was a roller coaster for me.
It kind of bothered me that he didn't even try. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess he just rolled up and he was like, yeah, here's what I'm going to do.
Well, they like gave him almost nothing to do. This brings us to a central argument that you and I totally agreed on, that the depth of the relationship between characters was not there in this version.
Not at all.
And in a movie that's theme is supposed to be like grief, which implies a strong attachment to a person who has died, like it has affected you emotionally, it really made a lot of things fall flat. Like
100%.
I swear that guy hated his wife and like only mildly liked his children.
The only thing he really loved was his giant chin.
Yeah, and like not brushing his hair. He was really committed to that.
And I used the comparison when we first talked about it. I saw Shazam last weekend as well. And Shazam's a superhero movie, very, very different thing. But they used the vehicle of Billy Batson being introduced to the foster home that he lived in. Maybe it wasn't even 10 minutes to screen time.
Yeah.
Like from beginning to end. You cared about every single one of them. You understood that the parents loved them. You understood that the kids were grateful. You understood that Billy Batson didn't understand any of that yet. Like, you got it all. And I would say, honestly, and I mean, it's not fair to compare, you know, Jack Nicholson and fucking Kubrick to the people in Pet Sematary, in the remake of Pet Sematary, but you kind of understood what the family dynamic of the Torrances was when they were driving up there.
And it's not as if horror can't do this. There's plenty of horror movies where it's quickly communicated. This family loves the shit out of each other. They would do anything for each other. Or these people are really close friends. Like some of my favorite relationships in horror movies for anybody who's seen like the Insidious franchise is Elise, the psychic lady, and her two employees, those boys that she's taken under her wing. She loves those dudes and they love her. And it took zero time and almost zero exposition to communicate that clearly. Pet Sematary did none of that.
And they did well, and I think now, and I will think until somebody proves me wrong, I think that a lot of our complaints are on the cutting room floor. Like I think they chop stuff up.
Or even like the script writing. Because, you know, even if you cut a lot of stuff, even if it's not good stuff, though, then it still doesn't matter. I think in that time frame, they still could have done better than they did establishing.
Oh yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you completely.
But I also agree with you. Like there were some wonky moments that felt like there could have been a better segue, or like this didn't need to be here, but something else kind of did. Like the line that Judd had where he was like, I just loved Ellie so much that her not being sad was enough for me to cause abject chaos between the mortal and immortal realms. That didn't fly for me. They did not establish that at all. No. If anything, she brought the creepy old man cookies like once and he came to dinner. Like
you almost felt like he was going to go, oh, but I love Annie so much. It's Ellie. Yeah, right. like he didn't even know who she was.
Right. It was bizarre. So this brings me to another point on this piece of paper that I'm looking here. This is a bad segue, but Judd's name comes up in that there were some, I'm going to back up. Here's how I've now been explaining to people some of the reason that I didn't find this movie to be the best. And it was because I felt like rather than making a completely new adaptation of the Pet Sematary novel or the original story, these people made an adaptation of a movie that had already been made. You know what I mean? And that they could have taken elements from the book that would have made more horror moments rather than it seemed like relying on some of the imagery and other stuff that had already occurred and even like people and everything to set the stage for them so that they could just do like a couple new things. And
I'm going to need an example of that, though.
Of like it just being an adaptation of the movie?
Something from the book that they could have brought in that would have enhanced it for you.
Oh, okay. The World War II guy. The story of the World War II guy that came back wrong. Yep. That in the book. And imagine seeing that visually. For anybody who hasn't read the novel, which is probably like a lot of people, because I don't think it's like a well-favored Stephen King book, even though it gets talked about a lot because of the movie. Judd tells Lewis, once he's sort of like figured out that Lewis is thinking about burying Gage in the Pet Sematary, about a man named Timmy Baterman or Batterman. Who the hell knows? How would you say that in Maine? Baterman. All right, that thing. Who died in World War II and his body was shipped back to his family. And they were so grief-stricken that his father buries him in that cemetery. And this human man, this veteran who's been horribly killed in war, comes back and just like terrorizes people. That's horrifying. That would have been visually very freaky. That would have been conceptually very upsetting. And I think it would have been like a really strong moment in this movie, or it could have potentially been like a really good story in this movie, and would have been a proper cautionary tale for Lewis to then be like this crazy guy to go against, because all he's seen is the cat. For all he knows, it goes differently with people. But in the book, we head that off at the pass because Judd is like, oh, fuck no. What about this Timmy guy who I actually witnessed, who got buried there and came back, and then his poor traumatized dad had to re-kill him after he starts like terrorizing the town. Like, that's messed up shit. That's fun.
But, well, see, now, I told you, Lewis, that no one ever buried a person up there. That was a lie.
Well,
and then he tells the story, except that the army guy was not some, you know, super smart villain running around. He was just like a blubbering zombie going,
no, but that's still scary.
Right, but that's... you hate inconsistent mechanics.
Sure.
That's an inconsistent mechanic. There's no reason why World War II guy, fully grown adult, who was actually trained to kill people, would just bumble around trying to stick his fingers in his own face going, where a 3-year-old would be like, now I'm a ninja.
Been a while since I've read the book, but like this is a story that Judd is telling. He doesn't like necessarily specify that the guy doesn't talk.
I'll hit a liar.
But maybe the Pet Sematary was learning, you know. This didn't work. This didn't effectively create more thralls for my insidious dirt purpose, because
you are way out on a limb now, sister.
Well, hey, you made me justify it. I was just saying elements from the book that would have made the movie better for me. Yeah, that's one of them.
That would have proven, even if they had changed, and I'll go you one better. If they had changed what the dude did when he came back, he didn't have to do what they did in the first movie and just him going, fire bad.
Yeah, you know, he
could have been like a ninja.
Yeah, and said like creepy shit that he's not supposed to know. Yeah. You know,
Hitler's alive.
Sure. Shit, what was I going to say? Another element from the book that I think might have helped a little bit, and I think that this actually was in the first movie anyway, is like, for me, and, you know, this is a fucked up world we live in, I have a lot of trouble believing that a mother and a father living in 2019 let their 9-year-old girl go over to a relatively strange man's house by herself and just be friends with this old man. If he had a wife, I might have... Just saying, I think Judd's wife should have been in it too, because it ties him to the more than she was, because she has the heart attack or whatever, and that's his thing with death. Yeah. You know, she was already dead. I just think that to create more of this like family dynamic, like lovey-dovey atmosphere, I would have liked to have Judd's wife as well.
I won't disagree there. However, they seem to be, I don't know if they were paying by the minute. They wanted to make the movie as quick as they could, I guess.
Yeah, they were just speeding to the end, like on that highway that has, you know, terrible no stop signs or traffic lights or cautions of any kind.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and so now here's, I guess all the things that I liked about it were all thematic more than anything else, because I think
that about you. I think that's a great quality.
It's you know what?
I was not being sarcastic. I think that's awesome.
The idea of sometimes dead is better got redone and redone and redone, and it meant something different for every single person every single time they said it. To the fact that even at the end they were essentially telling, and super spoiler, they were essentially telling Gage sometimes that is better, and this is one of those times.
Yeah.
And you know, that to me was fun because it got flipped on its head, because when Judd said it, he meant it the other way, you know, stay dead as opposed to being double secret dead. And that I thought was a fun angle to take with it. And that's why I liked the ending.
Oh, we're going to get there. But first, it's time for our very first giveaway break, because it's been half an hour-ish.
Oh, nice.
Acadia, do you want to hold up one of the fabulous prizes? The one that I have, we're going to do last, because it's the most Pet Sematary themed.
Un momento.
Okay, I'll vaudeville in the meantime. Anybody in the chat have a random question about Pet Sematary, or, you know, my shoe size, or any other kind of like random question? I'm looking at the chat. Let's see. Oh, I do see a good question. Do you guys think you'll like this more on a rewatch than when you know what you're getting? Like maybe I'd like it better on a rewatch.
Yeah, Amy, I could see that.
But also, I'll probably have other stuff to watch, so I don't see myself watching this again. I don't feel like I missed anything, so... But yeah, I'd probably be less hard on it, because I'd know what I'm getting.
So, this is what I'm supposed to show, right?
Yes! Okay, so our very first prize is this loot crate. Ta-da!
But you get to... So, here's where there's 2 elements of chance, because not only is it going to be random, but whoever wins can pick the top one or the bottom one.
Well, what if they're not currently watching the live thing?
Then
because I
good thing
haven't.
I got this marker, then, isn't it, Hannah?
Well, that is because I haven't seen her in the chat. Of course, that doesn't mean she's
One.
not here. But our very first winner is Leslie Karen,
Ooh.
who I believe is Lacrimosa Queen on Twitter, perhaps.
Yay, Leslie.
Yeah, Leslie, congratulations on winning the Loot Crate in our first giveaway break. Ta-da! I could tweet about it and then she would know. But I'll do
True.
that after the show because I'm got the thingy on my phone. So anyway, in another 30-ish minutes or so, we will do our second giveaway thingy.
Yep.
Is that going to be for another Loot Crate?
Nah, I got some bunch of other shit over there. I'll probably do a t-shirt.
All right. Probably next will be a t-shirt. And then the very last prize will be the one that I've got that's Pet Sematary themed. So
Or it could be, you might want these pills that I found in the parking lot at the store.
That's alarming. What are they?
Because I don't know.
Well, read the
They're all different. No, they're all different in there. I don't know.
Oh, some teenager dropped their entire business. Took all these pills out of my dad's medicine cabinet, $10 a pop.
You mean that thing that we wanted pursued from the Castle Rock series that they never picked back up on because his Nana needed her pills?
Yeah. What was she taking?
Oxy, probably.
Yeah, something like that. Something sedative-ish.
If they had given Judd a bunch of Oxy, it all would have gone better because he wouldn't have felt like going up the cemetery at all.
Okay, so now we're back at I'm trying to come up with something nice to say because I've, in my compliment sandwich, put a lot of negative filler in there, like corned beef hash or something between the bread.
Do you want me to be the top piece of bread?
No, I feel like this is a good exercise for me. But yeah, by all means, while I think, say something else that you liked. You liked the theme. I think that's great.
All right, I will say one thing that super fucking annoyed me.
Oh, cool. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a movie thing that they do in every movie. So I don't know how many people in the chat have actually seen it, but when they're going up to the not anymore Micmac burial ground, because you can't do that. You have to pull in the Wendigo for 5 minutes and then never mention it again.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about this. I got stuff about this.
So instead, they got to go through the swamp that you called it Dagobah and whatever. And that was actually, other than the fog, that was very main bogginess. I
thought it was neat. Let me be clear.
All the landscape was, to me, very, very genuine. But the thing that fucking chafed my ass was nobody, I don't care what you're doing, unless you're running to
I know what this
a helicopter that's going to save you. Nobody just runs into water with their shoes and their pants on if they have an alternative to that. It just doesn't happen.
That's real horror, ladies and gentlemen. Wet socks inside of shoes.
And they did it. And in the shot where they did it, you could clearly see dry ground, right to their right. And it wasn't filled with snakes or anything. They could have just... Oh.
Well, yeah. No, now I found a compliment, but I want to go back to the Wendigo thing. That visually, I liked the Pet Sematary and the deadfall. I think that looked great, like the big pile of pointy sticks that they had to climb up to get.
You want to know something great, sister?
Yeah.
Because I thought about the deadfall, and I got myself a screenshot of the deadfall from the original one.
Oh, nice.
So let me see if I can get that cooking here.
Can you screen share?
Yeah, I'm going to try.
Oh, okay.
Because, and you'll notice a very significant change to a change from the original movie to this one, because the first time they go and see the deadfall, it's full daytime.
Oh, well, that just looks like a large pile of sticks. It's less like a mountain.
This does not look like it's going to kill you.
No.
And Lewis was like, yeah, we can't climb up there. We'll die. And Judd was like, no, I know where to step. Just follow me.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, in the new movie, it just looked like a big stick mountain. I mean, if you fell, that would be bad. But I didn't strike me
I
as
did
like
not.
constructed to kill people.
Yeah, they didn't make it as treacherous as
But
it needed to be.
I assume it's meant to be both difficult to climb and then also full of pointy things that will impale you if you succeed in climbing part way.
Yes, but also, I suppose if you're dragging a corpse, it's going to be tougher.
Well, yeah, but like you don't have to worry about damaging that. Well, I guess if you want your loved one to come back without a lot of extra stabby holes, then you do. I don't know, man.
Because you'd like like their mouth would get caught on a branch and you'd be like, "Ugh," and trying to pull it.
Yeah, I mean that would be a bummer.
You kind of have to carry them by their feet because if you carry them by their head, because if you carry them by their feet, their head would fill up with mud.
Ew.
I'm just saying.
Oh,
Just practical
you mean
things.
like their hair and shit. Okay, yeah.
No, their mouth too.
Oh, well, I guess, yeah. You do the handkerchief thing and let rigor mortis set in before you drag them up the deadfall.
What's the handkerchief thing?
Where, like, if a dead person's mouth has fallen open immediately before rigor mortis is set in, you tie a handkerchief around their head to shut their jaw so that it will set in a nice repose rather than a.
I thought that was them pretending they had a cartoon toothache. I didn't realize that.
No, but I have always been curious why it's depicted that way, and if anybody in the chat can tell me why that is, I will be extremely grateful.
Well, all right, so since we're talking about what happens to dead people's heads, I have a little piece of dead person head trivia.
Okay.
So, dog tags have a notch in them.
Okay.
And the reason they have a notch in them, according to my uncles who were Marines, is that if you didn't leave the dog tags around somebody's neck, if one of your comrades was fallen, you would put the notch between their front teeth and then hit their jaw so that it would stick, so that you would know exactly who it was when you got there. And that's why the notch was there.
Oh, because dental records?
No, because people might steal it if it was just like all right, whatever happens, if somebody loots the body or whatever like that.
I see.
No one's going to be gross enough to try and pull his dog tags out from between his dead teeth.
That's grim. And also, having high expectations for people that I don't think everybody would meet.
Fair enough.
Okay, now is as good as time as any to go back to the Wendigo thing. That was not in the book, right? The Wendigo was not in the book, I don't think. It's been a long-ass time.
Nope, it wasn't. There was no Wendigo.
And, obviously we have to ditch that problematic Indian, I always say Native American, I'm just repeating the bad trope, Indian burial ground thing, because obviously that is bad. So I thought they would ditch the Wendigo too, because there's a whole lot tied up in that in terms of misappropriating the Wendigo for a horror narrative in a way that's disrespectful and inappropriate and not okay. And this is coming from the gal who loves Wendigo folklore. I don't know what folklore would be, but who loves Wendigo folklore and learning all about that stuff. But first of all, this is getting back to the book and then the movie, but also both, that the Wendigo is not part of Mi'kmaq mythology at all. Now, I must say that I am neither a Native American nor First Nations scholar or expert or anything, but I do, occasionally do some Googling about stuff, and I have read The Manitous by Basil Johnston, who was an
That's the movie I want you to watch next.
Well, I don't think it's this, because this was a story about Ojibwe, or not a story, but essentially a textbook on Ojibwe spirituality by Basil Johnston. But anyway, the point of this is that in the first movie, they decided that there was a Wendigo involved, and none of the mythology about Wendigos has anything to do with resurrecting the dead. Also, it's not a part of the tradition of the Native Americans who lived in that part of the United States in any way, shape, or form. The Wendigo is as far as I've understood it in my cursory studies of making sure that I don't talk out of my ass as a white person, is that's in the Algonquin speaking tribes generally that the word Wendigo would be used, or that mythology would crop up, like the Cree or the Naskapi or the Salto, or that's all I can come up with off the top of my head. But anyway, the point is that the Mi'kmaq don't have a Wendigo thing. They do have a thing called and you might know this because you're from Maine, the Chinoo.
Yeah, I've heard that word.
Yeah, so that pops up in that part of the area. And anyway, it's kind of similar to the idea of the Wendigo in that it's like a beast of the cold and has to do with consuming things. But anyway, the point is that, like, why'd they leave the Wendigo in the new thing? They like alluded to it, but they did nothing with it. And so it was the same trash of like invoking Native American spiritual traditions as like a woo spooky thing in a completely garbage way.
Yeah. That's
shame
true.
on shame. Shame,
Yep.
film writers, shame on all of you. Like, you could have just cut it right out.
You know, you know, what makes me happy about talking about Native Americans from Maine is that they kicked the white people's ass a lot. Like there's a spot in Maine where there's a little plaque, and I can't remember what the name of the fort is. I think it's Fort Loyal, but one of the First Nation tribes there was the Abenaki, and this was like in 1678 that they made this.
That's so in my notes, the Abenaki, because they have the Kakwa, which is similar to the Chinoo, apparently.
So they were like, they built this fort, and then the Native Americans came and they surrounded the fort, and they're like, yeah, we're going to kill you. Mm-hmm. And the settlers were like, no, don't. And they were like, all right, if you open up the gate and leave, then you can just go, and we just want you out of here. And they were like, really? Right. And they were like, yeah, sure. And they opened the gate, and then they went in and killed them all. Which always made me happy.
Yeah, well, play dumbass games, win dumbass prizes.
That's right.
So, yeah, I mean, I would have been totally cool with like some anomalous, creepy monster keeping watch over the Pet Sematary. It makes sense that some otherworldly evil would be there, some big scary thing. But stop using Native American spirituality as a cheap little thing that you can throw into your horror movies to make them spookier. I don't like it. And I feel like we're getting better about some things, but on the Native peoples and First Nation front, there's still like a lot of work to do, because people don't like to talk about that as much, or there just aren't as many Native peoples to raise a ruckus about garbage. Not that it's their responsibility necessarily to do that labor. Anyway, not my soapbox, not trying to stand on one. I just think it's shitty. And I didn't like that in 2019, they still had to get that crappy little snippet about the Wendigo in there that made no sense and showed no research and was just like a soundbite, because that's crappy.
So I'll ask you a question. I'll ask chat, everybody.
Yeah.
So since we're dealing with myths, why don't people just start invoking like Cthulhu and the old gods and that kind of shit? Especially when you're dealing with things in New England.
I don't know. It would make sense.
I don't know.
Is it because H.P. Lovecraft is also a horrible racist? I don't know.
But see, nobody know, like,
people don't like to say that a lot, but
but at a certain point, you got to accept it. Like August Derleth probably wasn't a super racist, and he wrote a bunch of Lovecraft stuff.
Interestingly enough, there was a creature called the Wendigo in the Cthulhu mythos. So
I'm just saying that the only one that really tried to say, okay, now there's a mythology of stuff and there's people that follow and blah, 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 and everything like that wasn't L. Ron Hubbard or lived in olden times was Lovecraft. And he was a super racist, and that's gross, but it doesn't make Cthulhu, like, Cthulhu will eat everyone. He doesn't care.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I think that there's any number of things that you could have done to create the feeling that you were trying to create without crapping on real life people. It's not hard. Also, like, plenty of other spiritual traditions are equally terrible. And anyway, the point is, though, that do better, people.
Just
do better. I'm not,
Let's see. Now, Melissa in the chat. Welcome, Melissa. I was just happy that Lewis didn't bury his wife after all that again. Like in the original, for real, he had been told enough that the land was sour. He knows the outcome, and he keeps doing it.
Yeah. Well,
now, I had a fight with Mrs. Ack about that, because she kept going, no, the place has a hold on you, and it draws you in. And I guess she had just listened to the book recently on audio.
Yeah, but in the book, isn't his logic that like if he does it faster, it'll be fine?
Yeah, she ain't even hardly cold, so yeah, that'll work fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, can't we all just agree that Lewis is unhinged at that point? Like,
yeah, but I don't. I think that was where my the
I mean,
part
I'm with
that I
you.
liked so much came into play because to me they patched a hole with Zelda. They patched a hole. Pac Cow not so much because in the
Don't even get me started on that whole thing.
but even in the original.
Mm-hmm.
He's just vague as shit. If you're gonna come back from the dead, be precise. Like, don't.
Right.
Why you gotta be all like fortune cookie? Just fucking say what you want to say, Ghost.
Yeah. And I mean, then again, can't we get on loose like this dead kid is telling you stuff like stay away from the stuff, the vague stuff, you know? Um yeah, I mean, I did like that part, I will say, with the girl taking the mom and doing it, because obviously she, whatever she is, not Ellie, has like a vested interest in doing what she did, burying the parents in the Misty Mountains and making more army dead people, dead army people, dead people army.
Yep.
Because yeah, that's nice. Because I think in the book, like at the end, he does it and he expects a better outcome, but he's all like old and grizzled looking and he's playing solitaire and she's like, hey, honey, or some shit. Or he says, hey, honey, I forget. Anyway, it was a weird, very Stephen King-y kind of ending.
Yeah. And then Denise Crosby is like,
yeah. I mean, I like the idea of the people coming back and just having like weird ass knowledge from beyond to fuck with the living. Like
so that's I'm with you there. And I will say that a thing that hit for me, and they said it in the commercial, but it still hit for me because of how the mother felt about sometimes dead is better. She wanted nothing to fucking do with her zombie daughter, and the husband was like, hug your daughter. And she's like, oh, I do not want to hug my zombie daughter.
Now, I wish in that time frame in the movie, it had been a little bit more like the zombie was trying to get her to side with it instead of just immediately flipping the switch of like, okay, now we stab the bitch. You know, I would have liked a little bit more psychological fucking with. But you're right. Maybe the mom just did shut the door and the great thing from beyond was like, we're not going to get this one. Let's just kill her.
Yeah.
The mom character like was very forgettable to me. I'm not saying that's the actress's fault. I'm just saying that like when she was on screen, they could have like used a buttered biscuit to say her lines and it would have had about as much effect on me.
It would have had a much greater effect on me because I would have been like, I want a biscuit.
Yeah, exactly. I wore overalls to this movie and had many snacks.
Hayseed.
Front pockets, side pockets, back pockets. They were full of snacks.
Melissa in the chat, Paxcow was too vague a ghost. Doesn't matter. He might as well have just said, don't go on the Ferris wheel. Yeah. What are you saying? There's no Ferris wheel within 100 miles of here, ghost. You know what I mean. I do not know what you mean at all. You have brain damage that did not heal when you became a ghost.
Yeah, like now I kind of got back to some of the other things that bothered me about the movie in that like I could not tell what was going on with the gore that they did for Pascal. Like, and I wasn't bothered because it was gore. I was bothered because anatomically it didn't seem to make any sense. Like we could see brain, but I don't know. It just structurally didn't feel like they had used a human skull, but whatever. I guess that's like a tiny thing. It just anatomically didn't make a lot of sense to me. I guess the side of his face was supposed to be shaved off or crunched off or something, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
And I just saw it. I mean, the makeup job in this other one it wasn't as juicy. It was a lot drier, I guess I would say.
Yeah, and I get that it didn't hit for me in like the horrifying way that it was supposed to because I was too busy trying to figure out why his face was almost completely symmetrical, but supposedly he had lost some bone on one side. I don't know.
I mean, all right, so that's a legit movie problem. I guess
Yeah,
if
it
I
is.
think about it in this conversation, I am defending the if I am adopting a role in this show, it's me defending the movie against flaws in the book. Like I don't want anyone to think and here's the example that I'll use is the Dark Tower movie.
Mhm.
I can attack the movie based on the book, but I can also defend because as we talked about in Baby's first Dark Tower. By the way, if you guys don't subscribe to Castle Rock Historical Society wherever you get your podcast, then you're just straight up crazy because it's the best because it has us on it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but the
I
the
read through the Dark
gunslinger
Tower.
the gunslinger would be a terrible first movie because nothing happens and the hero is a dick and you would hate him by the end of it and you would be like, I'm not going to see another movie about this. And so I understood that they had to try to do something different. I think what they did was they took a bunch of stuff that fans would latch onto as Easter eggs and wrapped it around a story that the Gen Pop may understand
Ooh, that's good.
and
Mm-hmm.
and left everybody a little dissatisfied.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
They
I don't,
Frankensteined it and they didn't stitch it together well.
yeah.
Like,
And with Pet Sematary, I think that they paid too much attention to the previous movie.
yes, agree. Instead
Uh,
of doing their own thing, which they
yes,
did sort of.
they did. Well, they did, but and they didn't because there was the drawn out scene of the old Achilles tendon by the bed and everything like that, which I actually thought was cute. Like that was a nice, but they had blown that in the commercial too because you knew that wasn't where it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a nice nod. The oh, is Gage going to run out in the street? Blah blah. Blah, that was a nice nod for people that had read.
Yeah. So there was a lot of angry tweeting, at least in the people I follow, about that being the only twist in the movie, and it had already been blown by the time the movie came out.
The end was a twist.
Well, yeah, I guess, but is it only a twist if you're like happy about it, right? You know.
No, that's not. No, that's not
No,
how
no,
it
no, no,
works.
no, no. I'm just explaining perhaps the general psyche of why people were like not even caring about the end being different. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
because you can't just say, oh, it's not a twist. Because
no, 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 no,
like,
no.
I'm sure there's like a bunch of people that are pissed that Jesus came back at the end of the Bible. Like,
The big twist that people I think people didn't want it to have been blown beforehand.
oh,
But
100%, 100%. As far as
yeah.
that goes.
I don't know if that was a decision that they couldn't help making, like that was going to come out regardless, or if they just I don't know why they would decide to give that away. But
So now this brings me to who are we and who did they make the movie for? Because God help us, we don't have any friends. I want to know somebody who has not read the book and not read the original movie, seen the original movie to go see this movie and say what they think. Because if you look at it that way and you're not comparing it to anything,
mm-hmm.
then did it stand up as a movie? And I would contend that it does. The things that we're saying, they didn't establish the family well enough. We didn't like the family well enough. But I felt that there was certainly more to talk about in this movie than there was about fucking Bird Box. And everybody was shitting themselves for a month about fucking Bird Box.
Oh, that movie was so long. So here you go. You remember how we had talked about how my brother was going to go see it? He was going to go on a date and go see it. He hasn't read. First of all, my brother has never read a book in his life, not a single one, not even like Goodnight Moon. He has never read a book cover to cover. So we're safe on him never having read Pet Sematary, and he wasn't alive when the first movie came out. And I got to get this plug in here that this is the brother who got a part in one of the Purge movies and decided instead that he'd rather be an engineer and not let me ride his coattails.
It's not a plug. It just, and me by extension, it's not a plug if it just makes us angry.
Well, I just feel like I mention it a lot. I did choose the wrong word. I have a grudge. Anyway, the point is...
Yes, it's a grudge.
That he said it was okay. That was his take on it. Like, he wasn't mad he spent the money on it, but, like, it wasn't a special horror movie to him in any way.
Right.
And he is the brother that I watch horror stuff with. So like I would describe him as a horror guy who saw a movie that he didn't really know the story for and said it was okay. So, but if anybody in the chat has like another perspective on that, that's great too.
You know what? So now we do Castle Rock and Star for our race.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I think we were both on like differing heights of castles or whatever like that.
Right.
But folklore had been mentioned earlier.
Yes.
And I actually have folklore, and I want us to try and translate it into our own type of sort of cinema score. So now here's my thing that is 100% my own invention, and you're all free to use it. Just send me a nickel whenever you do.
Oops.
If you do not know, if you're part of a couple or a group or anything like that, and you're trying to figure out where to eat, the first thing you have to figure out is it a no fork restaurant, a plastic fork restaurant, a one metal fork restaurant, or a more than one metal fork restaurant? So none would be McDonald's. One would be like Kentucky Fried Chicken. So it's like one step up because you need at least a plastic fork. A metal fork would be like Applebee's or Fridays or some shit like that, or a diner.
Okay.
And then more than one metal fork is like some fancy place.
Okay. And this is just the folklore of this movie, excluding everything else.
This is this is me telling everybody, make that decision first, and then figuring out where you want to eat will be a lot easier. Because if one person says, no, I want to go to someplace really fancy, and the other person is like, no, I don't want to have any fork at all, then you've got to fight that out. You can't just be, trust me. So here's what I'm saying. You go to a movie. There's kind of 4 things you can do. Tell people not to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Tell somebody to see it if they ask you. Or tell people that didn't ask you to go see it.
Or tell people to wait until it comes out on like digital release or something.
Yeah, I'm just doing theater. Like, so that to me would count as, you know, tell somebody. That's the same as kind of not saying anything. So
yeah, you're asking, would I recommend it, or if someone, okay, so here's, if in general,
I guess the bottom one would be actively tell people that didn't ask to not see it.
Right. I will not actively be sharing the gospel of like Pet Sematary fucking sucks. Like that's not how I feel. Now I have commented on a few people's Twitter things, like, but with people who are like deep into the horror community who I know want to hear this stuff, don't go see it. But like, no, if my friends or whatever say like, oh, I was thinking about going to see Pet Sematary, I'll be like, more power to you. Like, have fun. Talk to me about it when you're done.
Let me know what you thought.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Now, if I knew, like, this is always, it's like a different thing depending on who I'm talking to. Like, if one of my gal pals who does like voice acting in one of the like horror narrative podcasts was like, be honest with me as both a king and a horror fan, whether you say that I should go see this movie as a fellow king or horror fan, I would be like, nah, don't. It's not worth spending the money to go to a movie theater to see it, in my opinion.
Yeah, see, that's not my break point. Like, I would say, okay, it's not worth, like, because people spend money on dumber shit. You know what I mean? That's like,
yeah, but I'm gonna think about it. All my friends are millennials. This is prohibitively expensive.
Yeah, but everyone's like, oh yeah, no, I have an $800 phone, but oh, that app is 99 cents. I don't know. Like, it's just like everybody has increments in their heads that are worth it. I would say, and it's because I'm older. Yeah, no, don't go all the way out of your house and get in your car and drive somewhere to see it. You know, just wait. So that would be my equivalent. But in this instance, if somebody said, okay, well, here's what I would say. If a Stephen King fan said, well, what do you think of it? I was like, all right, well, don't compare it to the other movie. Do you think it's a good adaptation or a good no, adaptation is a bad word. Do you think it's a good take on the book? Because that's the best that you can say about it. I mean, they, and not, I don't mean best in that it was lacking. I mean that they didn't follow it. They changed major things. And the thing that we talked about, I mean, we referenced a bunch of times, but didn't actually come out and say, and now it's time for, I don't know, your sandwich is kind of like a big club sandwich with most of the things being hate and then the cat.
Right.
So,
let's pretend it's a meatball sub, and the meatballs are all of the problems I had, and
the bun is
the bun is like, well, and I did say that I thought that the beginning of Ellie's resurrection was pretty okay, and you know. I
forgot the other thing
hang
that
on.
really fucking bothered me. All right, go on.
Put a pin in it because it's time for another random giveaway.
Oh!
Ta-da! So, Acadia, if you would, hold up our second prize for the evening.
All right, so I can't because...
Okay, never mind.
No. I'll hold up something that
okay.
you can't have, but it will represent the thing that you can have. How's that?
Sounds vague, but okay.
Hold on. All right, so I got all these loot crates, right?
Right.
It's like I literally hijacked a loot crate truck, and the ones that I opened all had t-shirts in them that I never wore, and they all got put in one like plastic container. So I got like a bazillion of them, and whoever wins this one is going to win a t-shirt that is not this really cool Daily Planet pencil holder that you would probably rather have, but this was the only thing I had handy. Oh, wait. Or it's also not this Green Lantern succulent holder.
All right. I feel like we're making people feel bad that they won this prize, but
no, it's a good prize.
It's going to be a cool t-shirt.
Get with me, because I'll try and like, maybe we'll do a thing where I like hold them up and you can tell me which one you want, whatever.
Yeah. So the winner is Sarah Z. I don't want to say like someone's full-on last name on here, but I'm going to assume you're the only Sarah Z in our entries, and we will email you if you're not in the live chat, but you have won a t-shirt out of a big plastic tub of t-shirts. So you get to pick your poison, so to speak, the poison being the t-shirt.
And then theoretically, a super cool like Skype or Discord call with me so that you can pick which one it is.
Yeah. So, or like a really long Twitter conversation, whatever.
Yeah, I ain't posting 500. No.
So anyway, what was the
thing? Good job, Sarah Zap.
Yeah. So what was the thing you really disliked that I told you to put a pin in?
And put a pin in is actually kind of appropriate.
Oh.
So Ellie died. Ellie went to the funeral home. She got all her blood pumped up and replaced with embalming fluid. She got all her organs like kind of just stuffed back in her all willy-nilly.
Yeah. In a bag, probably.
Yep. Then she got dragged up a hill, buried in the dirt, got up, crawled all the way back down, had staples going all the way up the back of her head. One of her eyes was sliding down her face, kind of, which was actually a really good
That was awesome. I loved that. That was great.
That was really good. And then I felt bad. I was like, oh, fuck, I hope her eye isn't really like that. Like, I don't know how they...
You know, it's not really like that. You saw her in the movie.
Why, in a hugely pivotal part of the goddamn movie, would him biting her arm make her go, ow?
Yeah, and like, why does she feel pain? She definitely is not breathing and or eating.
Right, that's what I'm saying. She might be like, oh, wait, I don't have lungs now because they're sitting around my stomach, sloshing around. And why did I eat this stuff? Where did it go? Just in the middle of me? Because
she's like full of newspaper at this point.
Right. So that piece of it, that to me, from a filmmaking standpoint, is super annoying, because you could have done it a million different ways, because not for nothing, she's 9. Just give her headbutt to the back of her dumb little zombie head, pull out some of the staples holding her scalp onto her fucking noggin. Right. Anything you want.
I mean, she clearly had like extra strength. I don't know, maybe the strength of like a 16 or 17. But yeah like 9-year-olds are small. Knock her over. I don't know.
If I make a horror movie,
I totally agree with you.
If I make a horror movie that has like little demon kid, like fucking Children of the Corn or anything like that,
Yeah.
In the movie, it's going to be me airplane spinning kids and just fucking firing them like over fences and stuff like that because they're little. You can do anything you want to them.
I mean, I feel like I could totally take a 9-year-old.
You could.
I mean, not a 14-year-old because they're like really mean. I used to teach them, but yeah, 9-year-old for sure.
9-year-old for sure.
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
That's Come where on. You top out though. There.
Well, teenagers are so cruel. They have the potential to be so cruel. Luckily, I was a young teacher, but I was privy to some of the things they said about the ones they didn't think were cool or fun, and it was emotionally devastating.
Hannah would have won the fight, but they teased her mercilessly on their way to the fight, and then she was too sad to put up her dukes.
Punch me right in the self-esteem.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the Ellie stuff. I wish they had spent a little bit more time talking about, like, what was off about the things that come back, because that was another thing that was, like, in the book. Ellie didn't want the cat to sleep in her room because he smelled bad. I mean, like, I feel like they didn't
emphasize like death.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't emphasize enough that, you know, this is a corpse. Like, let's wrap our head around the idea that we are interacting normally with a, like, moving corpse. Like, the one time where I would have tolerated that stupid bone popping noise they make when creepy things move in horror movies was when Church was walking around, because we know that he got smooshed in a way that broke a bunch of bones. Yeah. Like, then I will allow it, rather than like when
got hit by a truck that big. He would basically be a fucking bag of sand.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a little manhole cover with paws.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah. So, like, then I would have allowed them to make that bone cracking sound effect that every crab walking thing in every horror movie makes. Because it would have made sense. You know, I wish they would have spent a little bit more time being, like, emphasizing the creepiness of what we're doing, because it gets lost because the movie moves so fast. They did it a little bit with Ellie. I liked those moments.
They rushed.
They did.
But you're right. They rushed it. And I think that it's a shame for me, because I felt like they took King's premise and gave it some meat, because he didn't really have a lot more than, oh, they don't come back the same.
Yeah, you know that thing in books when people are like, and it was a feeling that couldn't be described,
right,
or something like that, and I'm like, stop doing that, don't do that, like, come on.
If you can't describe it, don't put it in the book.
Right. There's a reason that I bought this book, because I wanted someone to have written it for me, not for me to have to do the writing of the thing. But yeah, saying not quite right means a lot for different people. Like, I think mixing mayonnaise and ketchup is not quite right. But, you know, for other people, it could mean, like, smells like death and is clearly not respirating.
Ugh, now I can't get off that mayonnaise ketchup thing.
I was in the grocery store earlier today, and they actually bottle that and sell that. It's called Mayo Chup.
Oh, why don't they call it KO? They're so stupid.
Oh, that's funny.
Let's make
it. That's way better. Yeah, but it's called Mayo Chup, and it's terrible looking. It's the color of a Band-Aid.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
The color and the taste of a Band-Aid with the nutrition of a rock. Tell me, let's play this with chat. If I can find the chat window, because I think I lost it. Yeah. Shit. Where'd all the tellers go?
The what?
No, I lost the chat. I'm going to have to restore.
Oh, I can see the chat.
By the way, another horror movie that you could all watch but don't watch is a German film called Hagazusa.
Oh my God, he texted me about this. Don't watch this movie, apparently. There's like this whole awkward scene, I guess. I don't know.
Damien said the line about him not sleeping with her because he stank came right from the book. Yep.
Did she actually say that in the movie? Like, did I miss it? I thought she just said she didn't want him to sleep in there because she scratched him, or he scratched her. Not reverse that.
I don't remember.
I didn't think she mentioned that he stank.
And Melissa said that she thought her dancing in her funeral dress was very creepy. And then actually why'd you change your clothes? And, you know, because she's like, no, I'm not a real live person. I'm a dead monster.
Yeah. But I like pretty dresses.
Yeah. The more important question was, where did you put the clothes? Where did you put your daughter's corpse
Yeah.
clothes. Like, why didn't you get rid of that
Must
shit?
have just folded that up there or
Just threw
whatever.
it in the hamper? Like,
When she started smashing shit, and my mom leans over and was like, "This is exactly what having like actual living children is like." So
yeah,
take that as you will.
there's a shout out for parenthood. So
Yeah.
here's what I would say. In the, I guess, 21st century,
Mm-hmm.
where does this Stephen King property fall? So we're not going back to the 90s. We're not going back to, The
Oh god, this
Shining or
is
the
always
original.
so hard for me to visualize because now I'm trying to figure out what else has come out besides Castle Rock.
Carrie,
Okay.
the
Okay.
Chloe Moretz Carrie.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Let's see. There was Castle Rock. Let's see. Because it's been like 20 years now, so there had to have been a bunch.
Oh, that's upsetting.
Steven.
Yeah, because I honestly can't picture other King adaptations. Even though I know there have been.
It had to have been, right? Oh,
Yeah.
Gerald's Game on Netflix.
Oh yeah. Okay. That was the Mike Flanagan thing.
1408. Cell.
Oh my
The
god!
Mist.
The one with Vincent D'Onofrio, 1408. That came out in the 21st century. That's funny. Okay.
No, not Vincent D'Onofrio. Better Off Dead Guy. John Cusack.
Oh yeah. Sorry, you're right.
Uh,
Oh, there was the 11/22/63 on Hulu.
Yep. There was the Farmer one on Netflix.
1908.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Dolan's Cadillac. Oh, there were a
They,
lot.
they made a movie of Dolan's Cadillac?
Yeah.
Huh.
In 2009.
How many stories can you write about creepy cars? A lot is the
Yeah, right.
answer to that.
Yeah, 1922. That's what that one was.
Yeah,
Hearts in
1922.
Atlantis was 2001. Shit, that's old.
Wow. Yeah. So I don't want to like give it extra credit because it was more recent, but like none of those other ones.
Considering that we didn't remember most of the other ones, I'm gonna say
I do remember 1408. I was in high school, and so my horror chops were not as sophisticated, but I do remember enjoying 1408 a little bit.
yeah, that's
I
the hotel movie. That's the hotel one, right? Yeah. I like
yeah.
that.
I think I liked 1408. I think I liked it better than I liked this, although I was a completely different person then.
The Mist. The Mist was a great, not the TV show, the movie. With another sad ending.
Yeah.
Bleaker than the ending of The Mist was bleaker than the ending of Pet Sematary, I'd say.
Okay, so I'm double checking on Netflix because I know if you type in Stephen King, like stuff will come up. So I'm on the app on my phone here just to make sure because I watch a lot of shit on Netflix.
Damielle says she's excited about the upcoming Lisi's story on Apple TV and she might need to borrow an iPad.
Lizie's story, isn't it? I don't know. Okay, so oh, it's listing, yep, just 1922 in Gerald's Game. It's also saying Open House, but I know that that's not.
Oh, and Cell.
Ghost Ship is on Netflix. Well, see you
with
later,
Julianna
everybody.
Margulies?
Yeah, from 2002.
Oh.
And Gabriel Byrne.
Oh.
Like, I'm fucking watching Ghost Ship again.
Julianna Margulies.
I love that garbage. Yeah, I mean, it was okay. It was okay. That's really all I have to say about it. That's the most generous thing that I can say about it, and it's also just really all I have to say about it. It was all right.
Right.
It was a fun afternoon with my mom because she and I are very similar in lots of ways and had a lot of fun watching it. We were basically alone in the theater, so.
Has anyone watched the series Mr. Mercedes?
Oh,
that's on one of those
I haven't
weird.
had a chance to watch that yet, though.
I don't even remember which one it's on. What's that on? Like,
but I have the books
fucking the
me.
Home Depot network or something. Like everything has its own network now.
You can slightly see the Mr. Mercedes books right there.
Yeah, I liked them.
Yeah, I did too, actually. So I don't know. Like, you can never tell just because you liked a book if you're gonna like the film or the TV series. But like, right. I imagine I might like that. So
Yeah, I might have
here's a good one. People in the chat / Acadia. We sort of talked about this in our dry run, but what is a Stephen King property that has not yet been adapted? Now, this changes your answer, Acadia, but that has not yet been adapted that you would like to see adapted, and then maybe we'll go to the next phase of that question. So mine is revival. I would love to see them do a revival movie. I think it would be great. It's a really good, newish Stephen King standalone novel that I super enjoyed, and I don't think it got enough attention. Good one. Read
You were
Revival.
very passionate about that.
I love Revival. I thought it was great. Yeah.
I don't remember what I said the last time.
You said, I think, The Stand, didn't you? But you wanted to redo it.
No, because they already made that.
No. You wanted to do Salem's Lot, I think.
I would do, if I could do anything, I would make the real Salem's Lot the way he wrote it.
Right, but I'm saying one that hasn't been done yet.
So one that hasn't been done at all, I would
Yeah.
say not Uncle Otto's truck.
So,
no, you know what? I'll tell you. Mrs. Todd's Shortcut.
What's that from? Is that a short story?
Yep, it's a short story.
Okay. Yeah.
I think the call got locked on Acadia's screen. Can't see Hannah anymore unless that was intentional. Well, no, that would be the opposite of intentional.
Oh, that's weird.
We'll just leave it on Hannah. Is that? Tell me if that's better.
Is it because I wasn't talking?
I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe my palsied flailing hit something.
Uh-oh. Well, check the settings while I...
Well, no, now it's all you.
Okay. Well, good.
So then Mrs. Todd's Shortcut was, she was from away, her and her husband, and the old man caretaker, took care of the house, whatever like that. And she had a little brown Mercedes, like a 560. You know it if you saw it. And she would talk to him about how long it would take her to get from where they were to Bangor. And he always took the turnpike, and he kind of felt bad because he didn't know where anything was anymore, because it was just easier to take the turnpike. But she was like, if you save enough miles, eventually you're going to save time. So she kept going and more fucked up shortcuts. And like one time she came back and there was this thing that kind of looked like a hedgehog, but it wasn't because it had a different kind of face, like jammed into the grill. And he's like, where were you? And she's like, oh, I was just taking shortcuts. And then
wait, not a hedgehog, the animal?
No, it was an animal, but it wasn't like one of our animals.
Okay.
So, and then she said,
I bet it wasn't quite right.
Right. She said, do you want to go with me? And he's like, yeah, I guess, sure. And they're driving, and they found a place called like Motorway B and shit like that. Like, so essentially what she kind of drove, like either through a thinny or something like that. But the idea of the story was knowing the roads versus doing what's easy. And I think that would translate even better now, considering that I cannot even get across my street without GPS now, because somehow I've forgotten how anything works. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So it's just a short story, but I think it would be easily upgradable to modern times and still be relatable.
I'm turning around to look at my shelf to make sure that like I didn't forget anything.
It was in Skeleton Crew.
Oh, okay. Well, that's already been made. Kind of seems like the good ones have already been made, But weirdly, like niche desire of mine would be like an original animated Hobbit style of The Eyes of the Dragon.
That would be fun.
That would be epically fun.
That would be super fun.
Right?
Yeah.
And maybe like some music with the like Frodo of the Nine Fingers and the Ring of Doom, which I sang a lot as a child, but obviously a song about something in The Eyes of the Dragon. The hooded guy who's actually Randall Flagg, who's actually the Man in Black.
Martin and Man in Black and something.
Exactly. So now stuff that's already been adapted that you would like to see adapted better.
I'd love to see Salem's Lot, but my if I had the budgets and I could do whatever I wanted,
yeah,
I would do The Stand, Lord of the Rings style.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one, like I've said a bazillion times, and you're probably sick of it, but whatever. It's the first one ends when they get to Mother Abigail.
Okay.
Part 2 ends when the bomb blows up in Boulder, because the second one always has to end really shitty.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one just ends the way it ends, but maybe they find a car and they don't spend like 2/3 of the end of it just sitting in a fucking hotel in a snowstorm, because what the fuck, Stephen King?
Yeah, well, yeah.
So that's what I would do.
Okay.
So somebody fund it.
Make a Dark Tower video game, you cowards.
You can go on the Dark Tower. There's a Dark Tower site with a Flash game that's really terrible, but you can't do it because there's spoilers.
That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, like an epic giant open world Dark Tower game. Like, that would be the shit. That would be so much fun.
Damian says Revival is a good one. I'm excited about Spielberg doing The Talisman and would like to see them redo Christine.
Okay. Christine's a car one, right?
Yeah.
I wonder what, like, a smart car, little Fiat would be as like a horror story now. You know, cars aren't as badass as they used to be.
No, they really aren't.
Well, a lot of cars. I mean, if Jason were awake and heard that, he would have come storming in here to talk about his car. But yeah, that'd be neat. Couldn't really do Cell nowadays, I don't think.
They did sell in like 2012.
Well, didn't they still have razors back then? Maybe not.
I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah. What else is well, the season 2 of Castle Rock is coming out, and that's gonna be like pre-Misery Salem's Lot adjacent, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that'll be neat. We are coming to the end of our live show, so it seems like maybe we should talk about the ending to Pet Sematary 2019, which is the final frontier of our discussion, I think. I did not like it, shocking no one. It was certainly different.
Tell me, the movie that you watched, what would have been the alternative given the motivations of the dead?
Yep.
It's the only logical ending.
I mean, yeah, it would have been better if, like, Tiny Gage gets out of the car, walks toward the road, some well-meaning passerby stops and is like, "Oh my gosh, small child, where are your parents?" And then we see the dead zombie family, like, slightly back from the frame.
All right. Or Stephen King's. If anybody didn't hear about it, Stephen King actually told Entertainment Weekly that he thought that the ending was too grim. And
that's interesting since he wrote the original Pet Sematary.
Yes, but his ending was that Gage wanders out in the street because he's all alone and the truck is coming and everything like that. But just before the truck comes, some woman scoops him up and says, "Where's your mommy and daddy, little boy?" Which sounds like it's really nice, except that he was old enough to point to where his own fucking house was, and she would have walked over there and the zombies would have got her. So that's no better.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, I don't know, it just seemed dumb. I don't know why I thought the ending felt dumb to me. That's not a very sophisticated opinion. I was just kind of like, okay, what am I meant to extrapolate from this? Is the end game here that there's going to be like a slow hostile takeover of most of Maine by like undead peoples who are not quite right?
No, because it's too much work. Like,
well, they're not going to live happily ever after as a weird zombie family. Like
because eventually the mailman's gonna show up and he's gonna get killed.
You know, someone's getting something from Amazon. So,
yep. But the built-in. No, wait a minute. Now I figured out why the fuck. That's why they didn't put any speed bumps in the road. They were like, "Yeah, no, these zombies will be all over the fucking place if these trucks
have to get hit by cars
and splatting them all over everything."
Yeah.
I feel better about it now. It's all coming together, folks.
Yeah, I don't know how I would have ended that. It almost would have even maybe been like sadder and better if we just saw like the little kid distressed in the car at the end, having no idea what's going to happen.
Or like, you know how they did that like overhead shot of the thing on fire and then the other house? if they had done it like way in the future and like the like the Judd's house was just gone and everything like that, and their house was all dilapidated and it was just a skeleton in the back.
I mean, yeah, I don't know where you go with that. It didn't work for me. The ending didn't work for me. I can't really like put my finger on why.
Because you didn't like, because
maybe I was just annoyed and I was like, that didn't fix anything. So
because this movie was a bag of chips that you had committed to eating. Mm-hmm. So the last one that was a little bit burnt, which would ordinarily be the best chip in the bag, since you didn't like him anyway, you didn't like that either.
Okay, but like, let's pretend the last chip was like part of a cockroach or something. I was pissed about the ending. I don't know why. I was just, I guess it just, I don't know. How else are they going to end it? I guess the ending was like, it was what it was.
All right, well.
I forgot to mention, by the way, that I thought that Lewis had straight up poisoned Judd. Like, I thought he was dead. I did not know what was happening in that scene, and I was very distressed.
Why do doctors just have potions they can put in stuff?
Right. Was that just crushed up sedatives or something? I don't know. I thought he was poisoning him. I thought that Judd was going to die. And I was like, what the fuck? This isn't any part of the story at all.
If my ability to make Mrs. Axe coffee right is any indication, people will fucking notice if anything in their drink is the slightest bit off. Like, yeah, she'll still drink it, but she'll be like, yeah, you put like 5 gallons of cream in this and then like just threw a Splenda packet at the cup, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, give or take. Whatever.
Judd had like the chillest reaction to being roofied I've ever seen on a human. Like, I'm just gonna close my eyes for a little while.
I'm so alone, Lewis.
I trust you. Good night.
He wanted it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, time for our final prize drawing, and then maybe like a couple other tiny little quibbles here. But here I have, for the lucky winner, a lovely hardcover copy of Pet Sematary for you to read, and perhaps also grouse about things in Pet Sematary, the movie or the book or the film. There you go. Nice little hardcover for you. Got some heft. And the winner of this hardcover is... Good. Drum roll. It's loading. Loading. Come on, Rafflecopter. This is becoming anticlimactic. It's just showing the loading screen.
Rafflecopter is coming in for a landing.
I'm getting real worried here. Oh, come on, you piece of internet garbage. All right.
We're partners, and I don't think you should call me that.
There we go. Melissa, Missy.K89, Melissa, in case there are multiple Melissas. You are the winner of our Pet Sematary thing. So we're going to have to get in touch with each other about a mailing address, but we'll handle that after all of this because that's boring technical stuff. But I will wrap this up real nice so that unlike when Amazon delivers books, it will be flawless and pristine and not dented and bent like everything I get in the mail.
Hey, yes, and if you won the Loot Crate, I'm not wrapping shit. I'm just going to cover up my label with your label.
Oh, well, there you go. So, that's all of our giveaways. We are, of course, very grateful for all of you joining us here. Does anybody have any final questions or,
anyone want to just do something besides make fun of the fact that I have a container of random pills?
You should sell those.
I could shoot them right into your mouth with a slingshot from here, probably there, Alacadan.
I mean, $5 a pop, you get what you get. You don't know if it's like a Viagra or a Valium or a Vyvanse. I just named 3 drugs that start with V.
Or those little candy Smarties.
Did you know? Well, people may know this, but I never knew this, that Smarties in Canada are a chocolate candy. That was crazy when I learned that. They are not those that chalky nonsense that we have here. All right.
Did you know that Oreos are a knockoff of Hydrox and not the other way around?
Okay, I don't even know what Hydrox is, but it sounds disgusting.
They were the original Oreos, and you can still buy them. But like everybody thinks Hydrox is a ripoff of Oreos, but it's the other way around.
They have fudge covered Oreos now, and I am developing a problem. Oh, one more thing. I thought the sister's weird sister was like cool looking visually, but I thought that storyline was way too like rushed and slapdashed. It kind of felt incongruous with the rest of the movie because they like spent time on it, but then didn't. And then also it was a flashback. I don't know. That didn't.
Melissa said making a zombie family made more sense than the repeated bad decisions in the book and in the original.
Yeah, I mean, I think horror is notorious for people behaving in ways that we don't think that we ourselves would behave in. But like, yeah, I totally get why people don't like the idea that he repeatedly buried members of his family to bring them back. In the end of the book, not to spoil it for the winner of the book that they might read, he's all like physically different. Like he's got like white hair and shit. So this process has warped him a lot.
What's wrong with that, Hannah?
What's wrong with what?
White hair.
No, I just meant that like the process was aging him and changing him. Like something ain't right.
Son of a...
Yeah. So
just wait. That thumbnail, that's going everywhere.
Fuck me. I mean, like, what the hell? I've like, you know, I have to live with being a totally average looking human being on the regular. The least that we could do is have a thumbnail where I don't look like ugly. Hopefully this freezes in a more flattering iteration.
Don't worry, we can pick YouTube the thumbnail thing.
Oh, thank God. Well, why don't we just do something of your ridiculous shiny face?
Well, I couldn't when I was doing it live. I was the hype man.
Wow.
But remember, oh, you probably don't even know this. The second part of our Us show finally dropped. So you can listen to that.
Hey, I liked this one, guys. I'm generally very positive about it.
And then next week, you'll get this in your feed. So if you want to like close your eyes and pretend you remember what you saw, then you can, because that's what the show will be.
Yeah.
And then we have, what do we call it? Movie fights? Or what was it?
Oh, I forget.
Cultural movie exchange?
No, it wasn't that either.
Hannah.
I mean, I was just calling it the movie swap, but like the movie swap SmackDown.
It's like the subtitle was "Or Acadia sees up Hannah's nose because she has it stuck up in the air so high."
Did you actually caption a podcast that way? I am not snobby. Blech.
Well, the fact that you wouldn't even know what I titled the podcast is kind of hurtful right all by itself.
Well, when things play automatically, I don't like read the descriptions. Plus, I'm in the podcast. I'm not reading the descriptions.
Yeah, I'm so drunk. I never know what I said.
Yeah, you know. So
well, now we got a request to do this every Friday.
Oh, wow. That's like a lot of I mean, I'm happy to like hang out and chat, just pending like sometimes I do regular life stuff. Do.
He's got nothing going on.
Yeah, I gotta be in a wedding in a couple weeks. Jason's graduating.
We're coming to visit.
Oh yeah, that was the thing that was gonna happen. We should do that. But yeah,
yep.
Absolutely. I mean, we're definitely open to doing more live shows, especially if we have like something to talk about. A lot of the time, I just really want to like scream into the void about how bad the most recent horror movie I've watched on Netflix is, because I'm in the middle of trying to watch every horror movie on Netflix. So there's a lot. Yeah,
and you won't tell me which ones you're watching, so we can't. Never mind. You don't need this backstage stuff, chat.
It's not a superficial gallery project. It's an undead air project, you know, which is my other thing that I do by myself.
Maybe. Oh, you know what we could do?
What?
We could watch. We could do a live watch of that German movie, because I'm sure they won't sue us, because how would they ever know?
Oh, well, I mean, it depends on where it's hosted, I guess. Because if we were watching it on Shudder, then they would assumedly know.
Oh, no. I don't think that movie's on Shudder.
There's a lot of bad shit on Shudder, too. I mean...
Not that goat thing, though.
Oh, well. I don't want to, like... We can't... What is the thing on streaming adult content on YouTube? Because it's going to be very...
No,
bad.
It's us watching it. We're not going to put...
Oh. Do people want to, like, see us react without seeing what we're reacting to?
No, don't worry. I got it all figured out.
Whatever. The point is, we very much enjoyed hanging out with all of you tonight. It was super fun.
Yes,
I loved giving stuff away. That's also super fun. Yeah, we will get in touch with all of the winners to get your mailing information so we can get your prizes out to you in a timely-ish fashion. Keep an eye on our Twitter feeds for when we do something like this again. I don't know what the occasion will be, but it'll be probably, more of the same. Castle Rock season 2 is going to come out eventually, and I would love to see our British friends again to do this. We'll probably
Oh,
have
we
some sort of
will.
like pre-show
They'll
about.
sober up eventually, and then they'll have to talk to us.
We assume they're good. They're like having fun over across
Now
the
that
pond there.
Brexit has been delayed, they can all relax a little bit.
Yeah, well, we've all got our own political trials. So anyway, you guys are Castle rock stars. That's, you just really are. We love you lots. Thanks for
Everything
listening
about it.
and watching.
That's right. So yeah, just listen to us do all of this the exact same way in a few days. So bye-bye.
Bye, guys.